call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. I will ask for a roll call, please, Carolina.
Councilmember Corrales?
Yes.
Selby?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Gullickson? Mayor Wolf?
Yes. Well, once again, welcome to the City Council meeting on Tuesday, August 26th. As typical, we'll start out with Mayor Waller's quote for the day. Today's quote is from Eleanor Roosevelt, and she's going to speak to us about leadership. To handle yourself, use your head. To handle others, use your heart. Eleanor Roosevelt. Okay, we shall move on for approval of tonight's agenda, and I will entertain any additions or corrections to tonight's agenda, and if there are none, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
Go ahead.
I move approval as the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we have this portion of our meeting is now the citizens' comments portion, and we have 3 individuals that would like to approach the council, and we will start out with Mary Elizabeth. And again, we'll try to adhere, just so you, for those of you who aren't familiar, we did adopt a policy regarding citizens' comments portion, and we put a 3-minute time limit on it, so try to be brief and respect for everybody's time. So that being said, Mary Elizabeth, the floor is yours.
I'm hoping this doesn't count in my time. I want you to know that the website, the city's website, is in error. Something has changed about the end of term limits or terms for the members of the city council. So I don't know how the computer can change itself, but right now nothing surprises me. By the way, a lot of you were done on 2022. So yeah, so you might want to look at that.
We're just doing this because we love you. That's why.
Yeah, to make me crazy. All right, my name is Dr. Bezanson. I am an emerita professor at the from the University of Minnesota Morris. I taught communication, media, and rhetoric. My area of research was, my primary area of research and teaching was in free speech. I have some concerns about the council's decision around people who can approach the council. At the last meeting, when you dealt with TIFs, the people who were in favor of the TIFs were allowed all of the time that they wished. The people who had questions or who were opposed were given the 3 minutes that have been created by the council without any justification or discussion with people in the community. That's viewpoint discrimination. You've decided that you want to hear from proponents of things. This happened in the East Side Park discussions, but you don't want to hear from people who are opposed to things. That's viewpoint discrimination. That's unconstitutional. I think the council needs to reevaluate how it uses its time and the way it allows people to speak to the council, especially when the council might not want to hear it. The second thing is the Morris Economic Development Committee. I was quite excited about the Morris Economic Development Committee when I read the first page of the TIF thing. I was stunned to discover that you are the Morris Economic Development Committee, plus Ms. Schrum. And really, I wondered if that raised anyone's attention to the notion of a conflict of interest, that you were then voting on whether or not you would do a thing that you yourselves proposed. That was a puzzle. I would like to know, and I realize you can't answer questions, I understand. I would like to know how much the city paid the Ehlers Public Finance Advisors for creating the document that was presented to the public before the meeting. I want to know how much we spent to do the thing you wanted to do. Finally, I would strongly suggest that in the future, when you wanted to do something, you didn't put adoption date, August 12th, 2025, on the top of the document that we were supposed to be discussing. The point of public meetings is to increase transparency in government. I'm not certain that that did it. You adopted it before you even talked about it. That's a problem for me. I think Becca wants to say something.
No, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Mr. Stoker?
Thank you for your time and service. Just a few quick questions. I was studying the agenda for tonight, looking at this resolution 40570825, and the problem I have with it is that as a member of the public, there was nothing I could find on the website, on the state website, or in the documents provided with the agenda that told me exactly what it was that this project was doing in plain English, like what road was it repairing, and things like that. And I could not find any reference to it on the State Department of Transportation website, so that's a problem. We need to make sure that if you're preparing these kind of documents somewhere, you explain in plain language what the work is. Then the other issue I have, and it's an upcoming public hearing, is the public hearing concerning a tax issue that you were going to do. It's property tax abatements. At the previous meeting, we were told that the new the replacement for the alcohol sales institution was going to be funded out of profits. But now we're seeing that there's a $2 million bond being raised, and that bond will be paid off apparently by tax abatement on some properties. And there's no state legal statement or local legal statement as to what this procedure is in the tax abatement or why it's legal. And so that's the problem I have with what's in that notice. I realize there's an upcoming hearing on it, but I think maybe there are some issues that need to be resolved in terms of information to the public before that meeting.
Liquor store.
Yeah, to the liquor store, because the problem is, you said it was going to be funded out of profits, but now we're seeing a public notice about raising $2 million from some tax abatement source. So why that? That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. And the last scheduled speaker would be Melanie. The floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Melanie Fole. I'm here as the chair of the library board, and just wanted to share some things with you. The library board understands the difficulty of planning for council members, budget planning especially. The library board members are also struggling to put together a budget plan that continues the library's essential role as a vital and vibrant part of the community. Compounding our budget challenge are the legal fees totaling nearly $30,000 and rising, all being charged to the library budget rather than the city's administrative budget, causing the remaining library fund balance to be decimated. The library has greatly reduced the one budget item that is large enough to be cut at this point in 2025, which is the circulation budget rather than the personnel budget, in order to offset legal fees. For 2026, we hope to look forward and continue the excellent work of the library in the Morris community. I don't know if you're aware, but there were 900 participants in summer activities this year. Since 2019, the library budget, excluding personnel, has only increased by 6%, in large part due to insurance and building maintenance. That is about 1% each year, far below actual inflation. Looking at the 2026 budget, the library board is actually looking at reducing the circulation budget by nearly 14% when compared to 2019, without accommodating any inflation. Cutting the personnel budget is just not feasible with the bare bones staffing now in place. The library board is somewhat frustrated with the fact that the city's wage compensation study increased wages to a fair and comparable rate without a plan to sufficiently cover the additional budget expense. The library's wages and benefits increased by $75,585, while the additional income allocated to the library was only $27,430. This left a shortage of $48,155 in our budget, more than 10% of the total. We wonder how other departments are handling similar deficits created by the wage increase. Our request to the City Council is this. In consideration of the library board's substantial cuts to the circulation budget, we ask that the city provide the $24,233 necessary to balance our budget for 2026. This seems a small request considering the pennies this additional funding would cost each taxpayer for the essential services the library provides to thousands of Morris area residents. We thank you for the opportunity to speak directly to you, the council members, and appreciate your consideration of our request.
Thanks, Melanie.
And I have these numbers in writing, just so I can leave them with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to do that. Okay. All right, we shall move on tonight. We have no public hearings. We shall move on to reading and approval of our minutes, our meeting minutes from August 12th, 2025, and that would be our regular meeting minutes.
I'll move approval of the 8/12 regular meeting minutes.
I will second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve our August 12th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then we have the condensed version of those same minutes from August 12th, 2025.
I'll move approval of the condensed minutes.
I will second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the August 12th, 2025 condensed version of the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next before us is our consent agenda, which tonight consists of the audit of city bills, the Morris Public Library Board meeting minutes from June 11th, 2025, and the Morris Public Library Board minutes from July 9th, 2025, the Morris Transit Report, the application for exempt permit for the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and the last item F, application for exempt permit for Someplace Safe. And I will move approval of those items on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. I will bring it now back to the city council for any discussions on any of those items on the consent agenda.
I will just note on the bill list, there is a bill for Ellers for that TIF district, for $5,250. That is all paid for by, the developer. So he has already given us the funds to pay for that, so,
Okay.
just to note. It is a bill for us, for you to approve, but it is paid by the developer.
Oh, okay. Thanks for clarifying.
Line item 45 to one of our residents for a UB credit refund.
I believe, that was paid twice.
Okay, a utility bill, or it's like 147.77?
I know, I'm trying to think, cause I asked Whitney for a couple different, if there was anything different, and I believe it was for a utility bill that was paid twice.
Okay,
But
thank
I
you.
can double check for sure for you, but I'm pretty sure.
If
that's
you
what it
will, and
was.
just
Yep,
send us a note, would probably be the fastest, easiest.
yep.
Are there any other items of discussion for tonight on the consent agenda? All right, well, if there are no other comments, we have a first and a second, so I'll just ask for a voice vote for approval of the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have no petitions, requests, or communications, so we will move on to ordinances and resolutions. And the resolution before us tonight is resolution number 4057-08-25 for advanced construction of SP 190-104-004 STBG-Pro 7525, and then of course 230 in parentheses. So I guess what I'll do is bring it over to our city manager, Becca, and she can speak to that resolution for us, please.
Yeah, so MnDOT requires that we have a resolution, if we're advancing state aid dollars. So we are advancing state aid dollars for our 7th Street project. So this resolution just allows us to, advance those state aid funds.
Reason being that we pay the contractor as they're working along as they complete portions of the 7th Street project, correct?
Well, that's to make sure that we don't have any out-of-pocket expenses, that it all as we pay as they
We
get
pay
stuff
as they
done.
go.
And, we don't have anything coming from our dollars, it's all state aid dollars.
Yeah.
For our roads. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions on that resolution?
So even though it is passed and adopted this 26th day of August 2025, it's not effective until it is signed by city manager and our mayor. So technically, the wording is in there, so when it is approved by the council, if it is approved and signed, the document is official at that time, not until, correct? Thank you.
Correct.
All right. It's nice to get that project done. Obviously, it's something we've talked about for a long time.
Well, if it keeps raining every other day, it's probably gonna be a while, but yeah, hopefully they get a stretch here. It looks like the next week is gonna be dry, so small steps.
That's right. All right, any further discussion on that resolution? I guess I can move on that resolution, approving the advanced construction project SP 190-104-004.
I will second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. I shall ask for roll call vote on that resolution. Please, Carolina.
Councilmember Solby,
Yes.
Corrals,
Yes.
Culliton, Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. Thank you. We shall move on. We got our city manager's newsletter.
Yeah. So
Late
we'll
agenda tonight, but
We'll start with our flooding event. So we had our preliminary damage assessment with Homeland Security Emergency Management last week. So our event is the 8th this year for Minnesota. It involved 9 counties and is estimated to be $2.3 million. So it doesn't meet the FEMA threshold, of that 10.7 million, so it's just a state disaster declaration. We are still waiting for the governor to sign the declaration. There is some that happened back in June that still isn't signed. They don't see a reason that he wouldn't, but we're not eligible for any reimbursement until after that is signed. So once that is signed, we will be eligible to be reimbursed by the state 75% of our costs. So we are still working on getting all of our items done because they only pay one time, one reimbursement, so everything has to be complete. So we're still working on street sweeping and fixing alleys. So those are some of the two things that we're still working on. So yeah, that is there. I did have a meeting also with the DNR about our floodplain and our floodplain ordinance and our shoreline ordinance last week. They say they like to try every 5 years to have a meeting with everyone who is part of the program. We do, since we are part of the flood program, our residents do get reduced rates for flood insurance. So I know it's after the flooding event, but just so people are aware, to maybe look into flood insurance at that reduced rate. So yeah, just to be aware of that. Next up is the Yodel calendar. So our Yodel calendar is almost complete. Looking at some final touches before going live. So Yodel does put out social media posts to get people interested in learning about the new calendar, and they also have information for businesses. I think we have most businesses collected, but we're still gonna send out stuff to the chamber to disperse to businesses, just so they are aware that we have this new calendar that will scrape their websites and Facebook. And if we don't have them, that there's a way to kind of have us know how to get their items. So we had our pre-bid meeting for the liquor store. Bids are going to be back this Thursday. At the pre-bid meeting, there was over 15 people there. So hoping to get back a number of bids. Working on the preliminary budget still. We did get our certified 2026 LGA amount. So just a small increase for LGA of $6,243. So not a huge increase in LGA funds. We are looking with the budget, we're looking into different fee schedules and contracts. So our fire contracts are up at the end of the year. So I sent out a couple different things to the fire chief, and we're going to have a meeting on those. Also met with the airport manager, looking at hangar rent and land rent at the airport. So next month we'll put out bids for the land out next month. Sump pumps. So with the flooding event, we've been working with our insurance agent, and he talked a lot about our sump pump ordinance and sump pumps in town. We will have to eventually make a decision on what to do with that. To go around and look at all of those, we really don't have the manpower or dollars to do an in-depth door-to-door inspections. Smoke testing wouldn't show up right now because the ground is wet. So we're gonna have to, as we look at our budget, do we wanna put in dollars to have someone come and do an inspection? We are doing a second round of the lead line assessments. So with that they got a state grant to go and help us with our lead line assessment for still some of those unknowns. While they're out here doing that, they will check those homes for the sump pump, so we'll at least have a little start on some of them, but that's something we'll have to look at with our budget. The tree board meeting, we met last week. They had 2 people sitting there for the welcome picnic and had 26 students sign up to help plant trees. They're going to be going to the county work session on the 14th of October to present the information on the EAB preparedness plan, that we had a meeting on. They're willing to come to council, after that, since not all members were able to attend that meeting. They are wondering though if the council would like a subcommittee to look at the preparedness plan prior, or if you just want them to come. So kind of your thoughts on if you want a subcommittee to take a look at that preparedness plan and have some conversations with the tree board prior to it coming to the full council, kind of like we did with the downtown tree plan. And then there's some removal of some encroaching tree grates. So with that, there's a new rubberized material that we're gonna try around some of the trees. So we're gonna start with 4, 2 of which will be by City Hall, so we can kind of just have Russ keep an eye on how that is working and what it's like. So hoping that material will be good. And then that paid family medical leave, or now they're referring it to as paid leave. I attended a seminar last Friday on this. A lot of information. By the end of the year, we're going to have a couple policies put in place to kind of go over how, when someone goes on this, how we're gonna handle it. So those will be coming. I don't think anyone on the forums people have asked if any other city has one prepared yet, and nobody has. So we're kind of either waiting to see if someone will be the one to start the wheel, and we can all just copy off of that one. Otherwise, we'll be probably working with our employment attorney, Susan.
Have you got any bids on that from the private yet?
We are still working on that.
I did get a bid
So-
from a private, it was like 0.59%.
Okay.
And so, and I think the state is 0.66.
0.88.
Oh, for city it's 0.88?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And with respect to, there's options, you can pay for it all, or you split it with the employee, and there's different levels that, I'm not sure.
Wow. So
They can go up to, like, on that private one, it was the employee would pay 0.44 times, and then the employer would pay like 0.15.
Yeah, so employers are mandated to pay at least 50%. What I found out on Friday is if you pay more than 50%, which our unions are already set for 3 years, that we're gonna pay half and they're gonna pay half. But if employers decide to pay, say 100%, that is a taxable benefit to the employee. So it'll be put on their W-2 and they'll be taxed on it. So really it's not a benefit for them to not pay their 50%.
But they find every little thing to tax.
They do.
It's just like
They
the
do.
little
So,
thing in the corner.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, so it's already in your contract to do 50%.
Yeah.
So that's plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because we're dealing with the same deal and trying to figure out
Yeah.
what it's going to be and how it's going to go and.
Yeah. There's a lot. We were, we got invited to this because we used Abdo for our wage and comp study. And so, Maggie wasn't able to go, but I went, and it was a lot of HR people from mostly the private sector, because they do a lot of work with the private sector too, and very interesting information. They gave a checklist of these are the things you have to have done by these dates. So, yeah, lots of things that we have to still work on and get done.
I think if Minnesota thinks that we lost $1 billion in fraud in the food one and the other one, this is going to make that look terrible.
Yeah, the attorney did state, and we should really be talking to our legislatures about this. If there's an issue, we need to let them know this and this and this are not working, and this is why. The attorney said it was put into place in 2023, and it's changed every single year since. So it's just a matter of time. It'll still probably continue to change, but takes effect January 1st. So we'll have to get some policies put into place. And then just an upcoming event, the Minnesota Mayors Association has a fall meeting October 1st in Chaska. So if that works for you and you want me to sign you up, let me know.
Sign me up.
All right.
Yeah, I've given it some thought. Thanks for putting that in your newsletter, by the way, because I do get emails from time to time about these different meetings, and I haven't been able to attend previous meetings, but I should be able to make that one work. It'd be good to get caught up and
Okay.
network and find out what the other mayors are doing and how they're doing their job, so,
Mm-hmm.
all right. that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Did you talk about the sump pumps?
Yes.
Just briefly. Does Russ have any idea about that? Have we the manpower to go door to door?
He said we don't, but like I said, you know, we have quite a number of unknown lead lines. So hopefully, if the engineers can get into those homes with the lead line inspection, they can check those out, and it won't be half of our stuff, but at least a good chunk would be taken care of, and we can at least look at that, and then we can try and figure out kind of next steps.
I think a reminder for our citizens in the fall to switch over, that it's allowable to put it in when we have the potential for freeze up, and a reminder especially in the spring that by not doing it, what your burden you're putting on your neighbors or the rest of the community by the areas that have issues when your stormwater is backing up in the sanitary sewer system because people have their sump pumps running into the sanitary sewer. So just a reminder that's in the paper or radio or on our sites, just a reminder with our water bill, but I think just to start with at least a friendly reminder, and there should be some type of penalty if we catch people that have not switched it over after the reminders, but that's something we need to work on down the road. But just the reminders in the spring and fall we can do that aren't going to be a major expense to us as a reminder to everybody.
Does the city's insurance pay for any of this, you know, if the people's basements flood or any of that kind of stuff?
Nope. He said no to any of the claims due to we didn't have any negligence on our part. We've been jetting our pipes every year. Did it last year, and we were almost done with the whole city this year. And none of our lift stations failed. So there was no negligence on the city part. So all of those who talked to our insurance agent, their claims were denied because there was no negligence on the city's part.
Wonder, some of the older houses are on the other side of the west side, if are they even plumbed, even have the option to plumb their sump pumps outside, or is it just directly plumbed right into the?
So I'm far west side, and we have the option.
You have the option?
Yeah.
So, and I was looking at the map when I was talking to the floodplain, the gentleman with the floodplain, and all of that area where we got the most water and there was still water standing, that's all a floodplain area over there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. So, flood insurance is probably the best for them. Even though they're out of the floodplain, they are right up next to it. Yeah, that, like if you see on the map that, so Crystal Lake is there and those little ponds on the other side, that's all a floodplain area.
Okay.
Well, and I think, you know, we're all in this together, and obviously the people on the west side this year in the floodplain you're referring to, they didn't fare as well. I mean, as anybody really, they by far suffered the most damage, I think, in the city. But, you know, my thought is, if we don't have the manpower, I don't know what Inspectron has and their capabilities. Maybe they would be able to help us out. I'm sure we'd probably have to pay for that service, but as you know, we've all been sitting on this council for several years, and every year we seem to have that same discussion about switching sump pumps over. But until we get a real handle on who has their pumps not going out where they're supposed to be, and, you know, if you're running your sump pumps into your wash tubs in your basement, it's going right down the sanitary sewer. And right now, we don't know who they are or how many there are. And it's all contributing to the backup that a lot of those people experience. So I guess my personal thought is it's probably going to take some time. We don't have to you know, do it all in 1 year. Maybe we start with a segment of town, do some inspections, and just chip at it that way. But unless we start somewhere, we're never gonna get to the end of it. So,
While I don't disagree, I think that's a good idea. I'm curious what the lead lined, because you can kill two birds at that point,
yeah,
right? And then you can identify,
yeah,
you know,
it's a possibility.
right,
Sure.
like that's really where I would start. Consider starting at least.
Oh, absolutely. And since they got the dollars for the lead lines, they're not gonna charge us to look at the sump pump
Correct.
while
Do you
they're
think
there,
that's gonna
so-
coincide with the people that have had, I mean, is that really gonna clarify the issue for us? I mean,
Well-
have we identified where all those lead lines are right now? We have, haven't we? Haven't
We have identified where a lot of unknowns are. That's what they're going in to look at.
Okay.
The unknown homes.
Well, that would be a
Um,
good place to start, correct, but I think we really do need to start looking long-term, you know, we seem to be having more frequent, you know, large rain events, water events, and I think we owe it to the citizens of Morris to at least look into adopting some sort of a long-term plan.
I agree with the mayor. I mean, I think everybody, you know, takes a part in that, and if we have half of the citizens pumping their water into the sanitary sewer, and that pushes up, and then that pushes on other people and creates a problem for them, I think that's really unfair if that's an ordinance that we need to be enforced. I think we need to start systematically working through the city and checking every residency for it, and marking the ones that don't, and then get them to convert it over. They're gonna have to do something where they can bring it outside, you know, past those points, because I think that if you have that, and then the person that's following the rules and their basement gets flooded because people are putting too much water into the sanitary sewer, it's just not, well, I guess I never use like the word fair, because it's not, you know, it's a relative term, but it's just not fair to
Not right.
everybody else.
Yeah.
You
We
know,
wanna
what
be
if,
good
what if,
neighbors.
what if those people weren't hooked up to that, and we did have that event, and it was enough where we got in there, and we were pumping, and it minimized, and people didn't have problems? We're never gonna know that until we've identified every system.
Well, look at how hard our city guys work during those rain events. I mean, they're out there pumping at various locations throughout the state, so it's not only a burden on, you know, the homeowners in our community, but also our own employees. And they're getting taxed, you know, trying to fix, you know, the problem too.
Could we put it out in some fashion on our website that you could send in your address and pictures of your system to say that, yes, my system does go here, but it also goes outside? You know, where it would come, you know, so you could validate, here's my address, here's the picture, and then you probably wouldn't have to go to that facility.
You could,
As long as it's,
but
as long as
I'm
you're in
sorry,
your
but
house taking
the people who are doing it are not going to send you pictures.
Sell you a picture for $20.
And they're not,
He's over here, he's chuckling, he's going, yeah, oh yeah, wait till
And-
he gets it, he wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
and they're not, yeah. The thing that you have to realize though is if someone doesn't let us in, like as we start doing this process, if someone doesn't let us in, they don't have to.
Right.
And then we have to go get a court order to get let in, and just so
Well,
you know.
I would,
Time
It-
and money.
Right, it may cost some dollars, because the people who are doing what they're not supposed to be doing are not going to just let you in.
oh, it's pretty, it's
But-
Some
pretty
of them- Some
self-explanatory.
of them don't
then.
realize it. As a gentleman at our last
I
meeting said,
agree.
he had
I
5
agree.
different people that he helped
Yes,
switch it outside.
Yes,
That if
I
they
agree
didn't know
with
or
that.
weren't getting it done, but I like that with the lead inspection,
Yes.
because it's probably the older portion of town where we have the biggest problem, because all of our new street projects, there's a separate stormwater line run right behind the curb line. And I think most residents have been offered to hook up to that when the construction goes through the neighborhoods, so that it is hooked right into a separate stormwater line, so it's, we know it's not in, and just, you still should have some type of option that you could switch off of that and just run it outside, but yeah, the newer street projects have a system to try to take care of that, or people have been offered to hook into that when they go through and do the new curb gutter projects in town with the street projects. We gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think long-term, I think we owe it to the citizens of Morris to at least look at coming up with a long-term plan and how we're gonna mitigate.
We tried,
all
we
this.
talked about it when we put in the auto read meters, that they could go and scan everything then, that was gonna be the perfect time to get it all done, but I don't know what happened there, that we're still sitting here looking at that same problem, but when we switched all of our city water meters over from having to go and be inspected or read by either the resident or the city, that they could drive through the neighborhood and it was read electronically, that was supposed to be the perfect opportunity too, but obviously,
Well, they could have done it and then told them to switch it, and then maybe they didn't go back, or maybe people just aren't
if they don't
switching
switch
that.
it, yeah, I
Right,
mean,
Yeah.
so,
my household, I can run it inside
Yeah.
and switch by flipping a valve outside through a line that goes out around the house,
Mm-hmm.
or dump it inside in the winter months. I mean, it's a manual valve, but the newer ones can actually be just hooked up permanently on one that's not gonna freeze up because it's down below the ground level.
You know, I think you're gonna see, and I've already talked to several people, and I'm sure a lot of you have too, that they've had enough. You know, repeated water in their basements, and I've talked to some of my friends, it's, look, I'm tired of fighting it. I'm just gonna get this thing fixed. So I think you're gonna see by attrition, some of these people are gonna do it on their own without having to be inspected, so to speak, so. You know, it's just all about being a good neighbor and helping each other out, that's really what it kinda gets down to. All right, any other discussions on the city manager's newsletter? All right. Let's see, hearing none, we shall move on to board updates. If anybody has anything they would care to report on their various boards, now would be a good time for that.
Just expanding on the tree board a little bit, if we do want, because Councilmember Miller and I were the only ones to go to.
And Becca was there.
Becca was at the EAB for the county. If we want tree board to come in, they can, more than willing to come in. That's part of what they're doing on the 14th, is going to that workshop. So if we want even a special session or a work session or whatever for them to come in, give the presentation for the preparedness. But part of the meeting on the 14th is to discuss, their intention is to discuss with the county on potential dump sites and things like that, right? As a city, flies in here. Do we take that on ourselves? The notion was, obviously it affects more than just the city of Morris, so the county being the facilitator of that, right? So that's item one, and then two, wanted to know, there is a draft plan for the preparedness plan, and that's partially what they're presenting on the 14th, but if we wanted to present a subcommittee, obviously Becca and I attend tree board meetings, so we're well prepared in that, but they really liked what you did for the downtown tree planting with all the questions you had, which is what raised that to front of mind if we wanted a subcommittee for this as well.
yeah, we could do that, or, you know, we have 5 September meetings, we could have
Correct.
them come to the September meeting and have a work session just on that,
I think
That's
it's
that-
up to you guys
I think that'd be good,
at the work session.
I think so, what do you guys think?
Yeah,
Sure.
I guess it's something that's coming, it's just not if it's coming, it is coming, it's when it's coming.
Yeah.
And also, the university was another major player,
Correct.
and at that meeting was discussed that to take care of it, the wood needs to get chipped into some smaller, I think less than an inch size wood chip, and then, one of the university people had stated that it would be a perfect opportunity for them for their stover burner project out there at the university to burn the wood if they had a facility to store, but it's gotta be
If it-
destroyed or.
If it got up and running though, that was part of the kicker
It needed to
too.
get that running, but just the university, the county, the city, but having a site where you dump the wood and people don't come in and take the wood and haul it back to burn it. I mean, just, there's a lot of variables that
Correct.
the next guy comes in and looks at it and says, wow, look at all that firewood, and hauls it back out and it's infected, so. Yeah, it's sort of a moving target, but, yeah, just a lot of good ideas, a lot of discussion at the meeting we had out to the county shop.
Yeah, I wished I could've made it. Had other commitments, just couldn't make it. Yeah, I think that work session would be a good idea.
Sounds
We'll
good.
just set that up then, back
Mhm,
up at a
yep.
later date. We don't do that tonight, do we? You can set the date for that later.
Well, we have that 5th,
The
it's the 5th
30th of September.
Tuesday.
Fifth Tuesday,
Yeah,
that's
of
already
September.
locked
So
in,
I'll
so-
just talk to
Yeah, yeah,
Sue
we'll
and
set it up
Margaret
for
to
that
see if
date.
it works for them to come.
Fine, for sure. That works. Any other board updates? Anybody care to share? I guess I can just speak for the chamber. We had our welcome picnic last week and went great. Again, that's a chamber, city, and university event, so nice collaborative effort there by everybody. And I think, gosh, I don't know, we must have served 400 people. I'm thinking there was a lot of
Yeah,
kids.
that was a lot.
I never looked up. I was handing buns for quite a while. So I think it went well. Good to see the college students back. Anything else from anybody's boards? Hearing none. Is there any other business to come for the council on that they can think of? Otherwise, we'll move on to informational items. Hearing none. Under informational items, I guess I would like to make a clarifying statement. At our last meeting, we were having a discussion on the new TIF district number 17. I mistakenly rolled Heartland Motors into that discussion. Heartland Motor Development benefited from tax abatement, not TIF. So I just wanted to kind of clear that up. And I did speak to some of the TIF projects that I've been involved in, and I know Brian and Jeff probably have too. The 3 TIF decisions that we've made were Timmerman Properties was the one, Legacy Assisted Living, TIF number 15, and the newly created TIF District 17. So Mr. Stoker, I see, is in the audience, and I know he suggested at our last meeting that the city council should consider other financing alternatives to TIF, and so I guess in a sense we have looked at other options, and that was in the tax abatement project that Heartland Motor was a part of and benefited from, I guess is the right word to say that. And just to kind of clear everything up and this is more informational for everybody listening, again, tax abatement is different in TIF in that tax abatement reduces or it eliminates a portion of a property owner's tax bill for a set number of years, often as a discount. The owner pays less in the taxes during the abatement period, and the taxing jurisdictions receive less revenue from that specific property. So that's kind of a little quick explanation of tax abatement. And as we all know, that Heartland Motor abatement became kind of a springboard, if you will, for all the other further development that's occurred out there in that area. So tax abatement, I think in that particular case, was beneficial for everyone in our community. And whereas TIF diverts the increase in property tax revenue, the increment generated by the new development for a special fund for a limited time. The owner pays the full increased amount of the property tax, but the increment is redirected to fund the public improvement. So that's just kind of a quick clarification between tax abatement and TIF. And I just wanted to clarify that because I certainly didn't want people to get the idea that the area where Heartland Motor is located as a TIF district where it's not. It's just an abatement. So.
And by doing that, we've retained 2 car dealerships in our community of 5,000 or 6,000 people. And what's that worth to a community to have several automotive dealerships in your community? We did have 3.
Yep.
One has left and went to Alexandria, but to retain 2 in our community, I think, is a valuable asset for us to retain in our community.
Yep. Well, I can very clearly remember the night Dan came before the council and was asking us to consider the abatement, and he more or less said in so many words that without the abatement he probably couldn't do the project. So that's what led us to approve that tax abatement. So I think in this particular case it's worked out really good. Any other informational items? Oh, just a reminder, we have our budget work session Monday, September 15th, right?
Mhm.
Just thought I'd remind everybody about that. then maybe we should just start thinking about junior council. The students will be coming back soon, and I guess in particular, maybe how we want to structure it this year. Do we want to keep it the same? Do we want to expand it? You know, I just wanted to throw it out there just for us to start thinking about that. That's it. That's all I had, unless anybody else has anything.
Our budget work session at 5:15.
That's what I have.
Okay, I just clarify that so
Yep.
we can try and
And that's the 50.
have that
Yep.
time block. Would be the Tuesday in between our council meetings next month.
I think it's a Monday.
Monday.
It's a
Thank
Monday.
you.
We said Monday, I
Get my
think.
calendar maker updated.
I would just say, I'd like maybe just a clarification on what Mary Elizabeth enlightened me about a little bit today. Was, I know that we have a time limit on our citizens' comments, 3 minutes. But, you know, during a public hearing, were we limiting people to 3 minutes?
We were.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Okay.
two people that were talking about it were talking about what the project was and what TIF was. So they were presenters, essentially, of what
The project overall.
the project was.
Yes.
Correct.
I get that, but do we feel that we should limit people to 3 minutes during a public, I mean, I understand citizens' comments, but maybe, what is, you know, has anybody got anything to
Well, we
say about that? I
It's
mean,
in the policy. that
It
you
really came
approved.
about because
Yeah.
of the full house we used to have. You know, at some of our public hearings, we had 50,
Right.
60, 70 people here.
So basically what we're doing is we're allowing the presenters to present that. Now, if we wanted to get to her point of the opposition to that, would we allow somebody to give a presentation to the opposition of that if we put them in the agenda? Not just show up and make your comments, but be on the agenda as a presenter of a different viewpoint. I'm not, she struck a chord with me on that, and I think that it isn't something that we should definitely think about and discuss in that situation, because yes, we do have a presenter that comes, and they come and they are on the agenda and they present this project, okay? And that's why they got more time, is they did present it. And then we had, you have the public comments or the public hearing. But is there a spot where somebody could be on the agenda as presenting the opposition to that, and then they're allotted their time to present that, not limited by 3 minutes, but they would have to be on the agenda, okay?
Think
See, the
you'd have
public
to change
comments,
the
people
policy.
are not on the agenda, they're making public comments. We allotted time to a person that was in a group or professionals that were on the agenda. So if they wanted equal time, would it not, we're not limiting that, they could also be on the agenda? You get where I'm coming from? Or,
I get where you're coming from. If you
Right.
did something like that, you'd have to change your policy.
well, not really, because if they're on the agenda, see, the public comments, or the public comments that people come to make during a public hearing, they're not on the agenda. The people that came to present, they are listed on the agenda and given the time
Now,
to do so.
the issue though is when you close your public hearing, we're required to make our decision at that point. We're allowed to have our discussion, make our decision at that point.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is a separate line item after that decision for the
No.
dissent.
No, no.
Well, and see, okay,
One right after the other. We listen to both before we make a decision. I mean, I'm saying that we limit, she was saying is that the presenters were not limited to 3 minutes. Like the people that spoke in opposition, okay? But the difference between the two is one was on the agenda, the others were not.
well, it's gonna be very difficult for somebody to get on the agenda for a topic that they really don't have information for. Now, if you understand it, where, in Nick's particular case, he gave us a presentation, and the whole idea of having him provide a thorough explanation and presentation is to try to eliminate as much confusion and doubt about the project as there is, and just to educate the general public on what that scope of that project is. In this particular case, we'll just reference the TIF. Now,
Sure.
the mayor's job really is to facilitate the meeting, and generally in public hearings, in general, before we adopted this 3-minute policy, it was really up to the mayor in his position as the mayor and facilitator of the meeting to dictate and control the flow of conversation.
Sure.
And of course, I tried to do that as best I could. Members of the council felt that maybe we needed to have a little more teeth into that, so that's hence where we ended up with this policy. But, you know, I was really a proponent of a spokesperson, and one meeting where I did propose having a spokesperson, because if you have a whole group of people, and instead of having, you know, all 50 people getting up, I was, you know, a proponent of maybe having 1 or 2, 3 spokespersons get up and then speak on behalf of that issue. Otherwise, it just gets to be redundant if the
No,
people.
I do understand that point during the public hearing, but could we have a subsequent public hearing where okay, so you're saying we bring them in, they give all the information, okay? Well, is this, and so they can't really, the opposing team can't really get on the agenda because they really haven't heard it, okay? So is it make sense to give them the opposition to just have 2 public hearings? You have the one, then you have the second one where if you have an opposing view and the other people can come, they can put together their opposing view
But that's
and
what
be
the,
on the
that's
agenda.
what the public hearing is for.
I understand that,
But
but
here's-
it's hard to, if you're hearing that information for the first time, how do you formulate a rebuttal? Or how do you formulate facts? How do you formulate things that because unless you've gotten that information enough in advance, I think that was the point. The point is there wasn't enough time given to it. I'm not saying that we should. I'm just saying it struck a chord with me about what she said. I cannot disagree with her on that point.
I have some thoughts on that, Brian.
Yeah.
You know, it's important to hear opposing views, and I think the
Absolutely.
notion that we as a council are somehow
I don't want to
shut
have
down
that.
an opposing person's view just because we don't agree with that. I think that I'm just not going to buy that. I'm certainly not on that in that camp at all, and I really don't think any of my of you are either.
No.
I think we're all here as elected officials to represent the public, and when we make decisions after that public hearing, we're like everybody else sitting in those chairs. We're hearing it for the first time also. But because we're elected officials, we're put in these spots to make decisions on behalf of everybody out there. So I just think it's gonna get to be really confusing when you start having all this back and forth. I mean, we're elected officials to make those decisions on behalf of everybody, so.
Is the information that they presented, how readily available is that to the public before the public hearing? The
They got-
report that Eilers does,
They
all
got
the
everything that
information-
was in the packet, just like you did.
that's
That was it.
that's
Yep.
it. But now that information was not available that was available to us.
The documents
Was it available
were
to the
all to
public?
you. The work session that you sat in on and he did a presentation.
No,
we
I
didn't-
understand that.
We didn't
But-
have
but
that, which people could have come to.
When would a citizen have access to that information other than council members and them? I mean,
Work sessions are open to the public, you know that, right?
yeah.
So people could have came to that workshop if they were really interested in that particular topic.
Do we, can that documents to that stuff for the public hearing, can that be posted on our website prior meeting?
Well, the work session should be posted.
Like an agenda is,
Yeah.
yes. You're talking about the stuff at the work session. Everything that went to you for
I understand
council
that. I understand
went
that.
to.
But what I'm talking about is the availability for that information to be rebutted by person at the public hearing.
Anyone
the
can come and
informa-
ask for.
They come and ask for it prior to the meeting? You can come to City Hall and all that
Yes.
information, okay, that's what I'm asking. So I mean, this is where I'm wanting the public to hear me and hear the answers because what I hear her saying is, you didn't give us enough time, you cut us off, but you gave them everything. Well, if they have all the if they could have all the information in front of them, that's what I'm concerned about. I want to make sure that somebody that shows up would have the information that I had about that TIF district and everything that they said from Eilers. We're able to read that prior to the meeting, because if you just get that information at the meeting, you're only given 3 minutes to form a rebuttal. You know, I mean, to me, if I had somebody that was totally against it, well, I would want to know, hey, I'd want to go to the meeting, give me all the information.
So it is in the paper 10 days prior to the meeting, and anyone, if they have
Is that
questions.
report
if
in
they
the
have
paper?
No.
Okay, that's my point.
But there
It's
is
the
a public
report.
hearing and they can come and ask
No,
for
yeah, I
anything or
get
ask
it.
questions.
So they can come to City Hall and get that report prior to the meeting.
I don't understand what report you're asking about.
Everything that Eilers put together.
You wanna.
For that
them to
presentation.
Read a 20-page or.
Well, no,
put
what
it
I'm
in
saying,
written
I'm just
format?
saying, is it available? Do you get, Zach, do you follow what I'm saying? Is it available to the public?
The PowerPoint that he
Yes.
did at our work session, if someone came in and had questions, yes, I could have printed it out for them, but
Okay,
no,
so it
it's
would
not,
have been, it
it's
would
not
have
put
been,
out there.
it isn't put
Just,
out there.
no,
Why?
because it wasn't on an agenda. So anything that's on, kind of like the Chrissy Lake stuff, if it was, his presentation isn't out on our website.
You know, I'm just I'm just, I'm really a little bit confused because, you know, we've had this format, public hearing formats, it hasn't changed since I've been on city
I
council.
get that,
So
but
why are we having a problem now?
I get that, but she struck something in me with what she was talking about, and I can't not disagree with her.
So
And
then you can look at changing your policy and not having the 3 minutes.
okay, it's the 3 minutes, the point is, okay, if I put myself in the shoes, I'm not a council member, I'm out here, I'm coming to a public meeting, do I have that information that Eilers had, that gave to all of us, present and available to me before to review, so that when I get there, I know what I'm talking about? Yes, I listened to that presentation, but how do you formulate that after you're kind of gathering that together to say, okay, I'm against it? How do I have enough information in enough time to talk to my council members effectively about why I'm against it? Not just for a few points that I heard them say in their 10-minute, presentation, that it's like, I feel like somehow we should present them with your public hearing, you present them with the information, or you make it available to them online, and that after that hearing, they can have their questions, and we can have that comment period, and then we could also have another one where they come back, if there is a rebuttal, that they can have this recourse, and then we can make our decision. I mean, we're just adding like a step in there that allows the citizen more time to understand that information and get a fair shake, as much as fair as the person that brought the presentation.
Well, many times, Brian, we're hearing this information
I
the same
agree with
time
you.
they are.
I agree
And we're
with you.
making decisions based on that same
I
information.
agree with you again, 100%. And
So do
sometimes,
you feel comfortable that you're getting enough time to make informed decisions?
sometimes
on
I
the-
think
On the way
some-
we're doing things now, or you want to change that?
Well, I think sometimes I feel like I would like to have a little extra time.
Well, then we have that option as a city council, you know, as a member.
We could
We can just
table
say,
it.
look, let's just table this till next meeting. I'd like to have more time to research this on my own.
Okay.
That is certainly an option every one of us has sitting here around this table.
Right.
So we're not obligated to make a decision that night, and if you ever get in a spot like that, I hope to.
Technically
I hope-
speaking, we are obligated to make a decision.
Yeah.
Tabling it is.
Is a decision.
A decision, that's
Yes.
correct. So I hope this conversation, I hope you're not making decisions that you don't feel
No, I don't think so, but
informed enough to make, because we're making a lot of big decisions. So I just challenge the council, if you ever find yourself in that spot, just please put a halt to it, and we'll, deal
yeah,
with
and
it
so
next week.
I guess out of this, I would say to the public is that if you're coming to a public meeting, and you want the information, go to the website, go to City Hall, get that information for that in advance to prepare yourself for the comments. also, like I said, Mary Elizabeth, and she's obviously an expert on this, and it struck with me, and it's like, our duties too are to listen to our constituents and the people in the town, and I kinda hear that, so it's just, maybe if that's what it is, where that information is available, and we're letting people know, because sometimes we all know something, but somebody doesn't. Okay, it's like, the same thing with the sump pump. Oh, they didn't even know that it was hooked into there, you know, people didn't know you could get it from the website. They didn't know that all that information that's gonna be at that public hearing is available to you prior to the meeting. That would be helpful. So if you are coming in to, make a statement, that you do have the information before you come, not just
I think
get it
the
at the
notice
meeting.
says that there's information at City Hall.
Now, how often, Becca, do you get people calling and contacting you at City Hall regarding public hearings on the topic at hand? Has anybody ever?
I had 2 at the last one, that has been it.
So, I mean, I think if we just educate the community and let them know that to pay attention to the paper, the notice, first of all, and if you have any questions, and, maybe you're on Community Connections, you could probably just speak to that, just get the word out to people that, hey, it's important, as taxpayers to be informed, and if you need more information, certainly contact you, and I'm sure you're gonna be glad to help.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we could start there, Brian, does that make sense?
I think the best option is coming and tabling it if we get the information presented to us more or less most of the time for the first time at the council
Yep.
meeting, at the public hearing, and the citizens that are here, and if we feel uncomfortable, table it and take till the next meeting to make our decision on it.
And I think that kind of burden falls on really the mayor too. I can get a pulse for where the general public is on all of this too. And if one of you feel that this thing needs to be, we need to do a little deeper dive, I guess, into it, just call a timeout and we'll just table it till the next time. That's certainly our option.
And I think that not necessarily is it for me, but to give the opportunity to a person in the public to take a deeper dive. That's one of the things that I'm thinking about, giving them the fair opportunity that we're giving the presenter is part of what struck me.
One thing they can do too, Brian, is all of us are accessible to the public. If the citizens out there can certainly contact any of us. I know I field calls, you field calls, I mean, we're all available. People just pick up the phone, call us, and they can voice their concerns through you and then go at it that way. That's why we're here. That's why we're elected officials. They put us in these spots for those reasons, and I think people can reach out to you, and I know they reach out to me. So, make sense, guys?
Yeah, and and I think that's just to me, it just proves that citizen comments are important. People have a lot of knowledge out there that I don't have or other people don't have. So I mean, it's just I think it kind of goes to say that we are listening, even though sometimes you think we're not because we don't respond. It doesn't mean we didn't hear you. Doesn't mean we're not thinking about it. So I think it's important. In that I just wanted to kind of have a discussion about it because it just kind of enlightened me a little bit to think about what she said. So it helps to have a discussion and talk about it. So thank you for indulging me on that.
Okay, well, I mean, that's good. It's a good conversation to have, and I hope we're all being diligent in our responses and our position here, because I know I certainly don't take decisions we make lightly, and I think I want the public to know that we don't.
Right.
Sure.
I agree with you.
All right. Any other discussion on that topic? All right. If there are no other items to come before the council, I will adjourn this meeting.
To go into closed session.
And then we'll go
To go
into,
into closed session.
we'll have to go in, we're gonna go into closed session.
Per, and then